Hello, my name's Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've recently been divorced, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to address a subject that is a little bit difficult and sticky, and it's the subject of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a topic anyone that's been raised in the church has heard multiple lessons about. We know we're commanded to forgive all men, and for some people that's a fairly easy thing, and some people that's a fairly difficult thing. Maybe some people hold grudges and some people naturally don't hold grudges. But regardless of that position, of how you are naturally, when you're going through a divorce or any type of crisis, forgiveness takes on a whole new meaning. It's kind of like taking a master class in forgiveness. I know for me, it caused me to go into the scriptures, really start reading general conference talks, other books and resources to try to understand what does it mean to actually forgive someone, and then how do you actually forgive someone? How do you know if you've forgiven someone? So this will probably be a couple videos long because I try to keep the videos a little bit shorter. But I feel like it's an important topic that I should address at least the things that I have learned in this process. And perhaps they'll help you. Because truthfully, forgiveness, I think, is wildly misunderstood. So I wanted to start by talking about a few things that forgiveness is not. First, there's a well-known saying, we must forgive and forget. That is true some of the time. I think we have to accept that we're all imperfect people, that we're all bumping into each other, we're all making mistakes, and we inadvertently hurt people, sometimes intentionally hurt people. And that's fine. But it's a different animal entirely once we have been hurt very deeply and personally. And that hurt can come in lots of forms. Could, something that causes trauma, could be betrayal, could be addiction, could be any number of things, could be abuse, it could be any number of things. And that's when we really learn what forgiveness is. But one of the very common things we hear is forgive and forget. Again, that's good for small things. But when it comes to those really deep hurts, I'm not sure how wise counsel that really is. The reason is I have learned so many lessons through this divorce process. I have grown so much, and the Lord has taught me so much during this divorce process. And I can also honestly say that I have forgiven my ex-wife for the things that she has done that has hurt me. As I hope, she forgives me for the things that I did in time that hurt her too. But I can't. But to forget the things that hurt me would also be for me to forget the lessons that I learned in the process. The two are inextricably connected to one another. And I can choose not to dwell on the negative, to dwell on the things that caused me hurt, but to focus particularly on the lessons that have been learned and the good that has come from it. And that is thanks to the Lord. So there's no way I can just forgive and forget. Forgive, yes. Forget, no. Now that doesn't mean that I hold grudges or hold it against my ex-wife. No, we're all people on our own journey here on earth. But it does mean that I just don't forget. I know. And it's also wise not to forget. I think of, if there was a person who was in an abusive situation, they could forgive their abuser, but to forget would be naive, and it would allow them to put themselves back into a situation where they could be abused once again. And we know the Lord doesn't condone that, so you can't forget sometimes. Sometimes it would actually be unwise to forget. And remember, one of the lessons that I always remember is to be naive is not a virtue. To be courageous and wise is a virtue. Courageous and wise are very different than naive. So sometimes we just can't forget. the next thing, the lesson that I've learned in the process is that forgiveness does not in any way mean that we condone or excuse the actions of another person. If what someone did is wrong, it's wrong. And that's the fact of the matter. And many times during a divorce, we may have some real things that one person does to another person that is just wrong. So you can forgive that person, but that does not in any way mean we condone it or we make an excuse for it. And that should be true as we're taking accountability for our own actions. We don't make excuses or condone it, but we learn from it. So forgiveness does not make excuses or condone. The next portion of forgiveness that I learned about is that forgiveness does not mean that we deny the hurt that we feel, the trauma that's occurred to us, or the healing process that needs to occur. That process, the healing process, is a requirement. You will either heal or you will be forced to be healed, meaning your emotions will come out if you do not work through the healing process. So we can forgive someone for what they have done to us while still acknowledging that we hurt and that we have healing to do. I think one of the things that I misunderstood was I thought, well, if I still feel pain, if I still hurt, then I haven't forgiven the person for what they've done. That simply isn't true. In the next video, I'll talk a little bit more about what forgiveness is, and we'll see that that isn't true. But you can hurt and have forgiven somebody for what's been going on. I think an easy way to think of that is more physically speaking. You know, if someone did something to you and it caused you great physical harm, you may still be going through rehab and the whole process of healing your body, but you can forgive someone for what they've done to you, yet still acknowledge that there is healing that your body must do. There's no difference between that and our emotions and our minds and our spirits. Sometimes we just still hurt and we have work to do to heal, yet we have forgiven the person. The next thing is forgiveness is not trust. Forgiveness and trust are two separate things. You can forgive someone and not trust them. Trust is something that is earned. Forgiveness is a gift that you give. So the two things are different from one another. You can forgive someone for, say someone steals some money from you. You can forgive them. That doesn't mean you trust them with your bank account again. That's something that they would have to earn back. So sometimes we feel again that if I don't know if I have trust for this person, I guess I haven't forgiven them. Nope, that is entirely untrue. You can forgive and still not trust. I think the final mistake that I think I made a little bit and I've seen others make is forgiveness with an expectation of an outcome. So, for instance, I've seen people that don't want a divorce, and as they're working or, say pleading for their spouse to come back, let's assume that it's a man who's had an affair and ran off with a woman. His wife may say, if you come back, I forgive you, just come back to me. The reality is if he comes back, she expects he'll come back and he'll be changed and they can just live happily ever after. That's wrong for a lot of reasons. One, it expects something. Sometimes we forgive people and we say, well, I forgive them, but I expect an apology. That may never come. So your forgiveness cannot be contingent upon that. Another version of that is, well, I'll forgive them once they apologize. Nope, that's not how that works either. Forgiveness does not have an expectation of an outcome. Forgiveness is a gift. It is a gift we give ourselves, and it does not have an expectation of an outcome. So I think a lot of times we tell ourselves we want to forgive someone because we want to make a marriage work. We're willing just to forgive everything. But then at that same time, we're denying the truth of the matter. We're denying the pain that we feel. We're denying that we can't trust the person now that is, our spouse, that maybe we need to rebuild that trust. And maybe sometimes we think if we forgive, we're making excuses and condoning the wrong things that have been done. And all of that is wrong. None of that has anything to do with forgiveness. Again, that's really just being naive, and we are taught to be wise, not naive. So forgiveness is something entirely different, and I'll cover a little bit more about that in my next video. Anyways, my name's Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This channel is not endorsed by the church. All the thoughts are my own. I'm not a counselor or a therapist. I'm just someone who's been through a divorce and learned some lessons. Again, I don't have all the answers. I just have some lessons that I've learned along the way, and I hope somehow they're able to help you know that you're not alone, and that the path you're on is tough. It really is, and it's okay. Thanks.